So our country took an interesting turn this week, which happens. It really wasn't surprising. It was more symbolic than anything, interrupting a day's ritual. But it brought to the forefront of many people's minds just how broken our country is and has been, really since the beginning. There's been deep cracks. We have these glorious ideals of freedom, which is echoed in the practice of Buddhism. So that's what we're looking for, right? Is freedom from suffering, freedom for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, that's what we're all about too. What happens along the way to awakening is we become aware of all the places that were broken. We become aware of all the places where we're cracked. So really what's happening in our country and even in the world, because if we look beyond just what's happening politically in our country, it's happening in other countries where people are coming face to face with the parts of themselves and society that they've been in denial about. It's a very exciting time when this happens. It's terrifying. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely terrifying. But it's also very exciting because when this stuff starts to come to light, even that phrase, it starts to come to light, we start to see the places where we've gone into denial, where we have propagated a system that doesn't work for everyone, many systems. And for centuries, we've propped up different systems with the idea that, well, the people in power anyways are propping up saying, well, I'm getting something out of it. You know, this is benefiting me right now. So even though it's not really working, let's just keep it going for a little longer because it's benefiting me. And we don't have the realization at that point that if a system doesn't work for everyone, then it doesn't work for anyone. But we're caught in denial. So we say, oh, well, no, I'm going to keep doing it because I'm getting some kind of benefit out of it. It might be the benefit of a imagined stability or security. It might be that sense within us that we take the discomfort that we know, the misery that we know, over the unknown. And we're doing this as a society, as a country, as a world, but most importantly, in our own practice, we do this as individuals. So as you watch these events unfold around us, use it as a motivation to really and deeply consider, where are the places that I'm in denial about myself and my own life? What are the systems that I've implemented in my own being and in my own life that are not working for the whole? And it's uncomfortable to look at those things. It's much easier to look out the world and say, oh, well, you know, this government is messed up, or this corporate takeover is messed up. This environment, you know, people aren't caring about the earth, that's messed up. So that's how we deflect and don't address the parts within our own being that are out of balance, that we're in denial about, and we continue to propagate and prop up the systems and structures within our own mind that are not serving our entire being. In other words, we're keeping ourselves in misery because the pain of change is still greater than the pain of staying the same. But there comes a tipping point eventually where we recognize our deep, deep suffering. And again, at this point, most people want to run away. They're like, no, I'm going to go look at something else. I'll find something to distract me. I'll go back to pretending it's not a problem. So the pain hasn't reached that threshold yet. But eventually the suffering becomes so great that we recognize, yes, it's going to hurt to change. But it hurts worse to stay here and do this. A really easy example that might help you visualize this is, imagine that you're in your kitchen and you drop a glass and it breaks. And you're there and you can't reach the paper towels, are too far away. There's nobody else home. There's no dishcloth right there. So you're in your bare feet. And you're stuck there surrounded by broken glass. And there's one type of person that will just go into complete denial and just walk right over the broken glass and do what they've got to do in the kitchen, and their feet are bleeding and they're in pain, and they'll just say, oh, well, I just got bad feet. And they'll just live with it. But eventually, that pain becomes so intense that they'll do something about it, that they'll actually go and pick the glass out of their feet. And then they'll go back in denial and just walk right back in the kitchen with all the broken glass. Until they start to put it together that, oh, it gets worse when I walk in the kitchen. And then there's some people that'll be saying, oh, well, it's the kitchen that's bad. It's just a bad kitchen. We just got to move to a whole new house. Like, let's just burn down this house and get a whole brand new one. But if we are willing to look, we'll actually see and put together what we're doing. But that requires us to face the fact that we've been doing it to ourselves, that we've been going and walking on the broken glass. And furthermore, we were the ones that dropped the glass to begin with, and then we have to clean it up. There's the other type of person that will drop the glass in the kitchen and just freeze and wait and scream for help. Say, help, help, help. And nobody's home, nobody's coming home, and they're just trapped. And they'll see the broken glass around them and know, well, no, I can't walk on it. I'm just trapped. And eventually they'll tire enough where they'll have to sit on the floor, and then they'll eventually get hungry enough or thirsty enough to change, to say, okay, something needs to be done. And if we can do this while we still have some energy, then we can actually employ our creativity and say, okay, well, maybe there's a way I can use the back of my hand to gently make a path out of the kitchen so I can walk and get my shoes and then clean it up. But other people wait until they're completely drained and exhausted, and then they make their way out of the kitchen, stepping on it, and injure themselves in the process. And then it's a long healing process, because now you've got to dig the glass out of your foot, you've got to let it heal, and then you still have all the broken glass to deal with, plus you've got to feed and water your body and build up your strength. So we have all of these approaches that we take to different parts of our being that we go into denial about, different aspects of life that we know are not working for us. So consider that, take this news that we're hearing, all the angst that's still in the air. It's probably going to be a rough couple weeks still in terms of our government. It will calm down eventually. It's just going to take a little bit, and there'll be a lot of screaming in the process. But things will eventually calm. But use what you are witnessing and experiencing and see how you can use that as motivation to really examine your own life and the ways that you've gone into denial, the ways that you are struggling to make a change, and the ways that you're still trying to prop up the systems that are causing you harm. You know, it's not an easy thing. But when we do it willingly, if we don't wait until we're completely exhausted, as I said, we can start to employ our creativity. We can actually create something brand new. You know, we might realize, well, I'm trapped in the kitchen, there's glass on the floor, but maybe you have a cookie jar behind you and you're like, okay, I can put that down, and maybe there's a pot and you can put that down, and now you have 2 steps, and maybe that's enough to get out of the kitchen without getting cut. Now, it still means you got to turn around and clean up the mess, but it allows you to take control of your own mind and free yourself. Now, with all that's going on in the world, it influences us. So like I said, we can use it as motivation for our own practice to really free our own minds. But we also influence the world. That's the really good news. So every time you find that sense of calm within you, every time you create that and connect with that spaciousness, and you pull up this light that you are, it radiates out into the world. So if you feel like you're starting to get a little overwhelmed by the events that are happening, or if you see somebody else who is completely caught up in it, stop for a moment and just allow that sense of calm to radiate out from your heart. And do it for yourself first, but then expand it out to whoever triggered it, and then expand it out even more to the entire world. By doing this, each of us individually, we have a collective impact. It helps center and calm all those around us. You know, I remember a long time ago, my teacher said that we feel everyone within 100 feet of us. It might have even been 100 miles. Yeah, it was 100 miles. So within 100 miles of you, if you sit and meditate and deliberately radiate out this light without any strings attached, without trying to make anything happen, just making this beautiful, peaceful, joyous energy available, everyone within 100 miles of you will feel it. They might not be conscious of it. They might not say, oh, you're the one that was radiating that light. Thank you. That's not why we do it. We just do it because we can. But in this way, we can radically shift the impact that current world events are having in our communities. And even this call today, on Zoom, we've got people from all over the place, you know, from across the country. So imagine it's not just our group doing this, it's everyone who meditates, everyone who is on this path of expanding their consciousness, of awakening, is having this impact throughout the world. So this is a very exciting time to be alive. It's a very beautiful process that's unfolding. And yes, it's messy. Yes, it can be painful. But any pain that we go through is so worth it. The ecstasy and the peace, I mean, it's so, so worth it. So yes, your practice is about you and your life, and that's where we have the greatest impact. But at the same time, there's this radiating effect that happens. So don't discount that, you know? It's easy to feel like nothing's happening or that it's not happening fast enough. But when you see these people out there on social media or on the news and they're doing horrible things, realize that they're reacting to their pain. They're reacting to their confusion. So if we, instead of getting angry with them and saying, well, they shouldn't be doing that, they're bad, evil people, realize that, oh wait, they're in serious denial about their true nature. They are propping up systems within their own mind that are causing themselves harm, and that they keep doing it because they think there's some benefit for them. There's some kind of payoff. And as they wake up, they're going to recognize what they're doing. And then they're going to have to go through feeling horrible about that, just as you have when you've recognized that you've been hurting yourself. So we can draw on our compassion, and instead of sending out these waves of anger and hate, we can send out compassion and love and peace and wish them well. Wish that everyone awakens. And if we take this as our moment-to-moment practice, it shifts our entire day. Then all of a sudden, we're not drained by all the broken glass that we walked over. Instead, we made it out of the kitchen without cutting our feet. And we still have the energy not only to clean up our mess, but we have the energy to actually be creative and do things that we want to. We can go to the fun stuff and create a whole new world for ourselves. So, yes, the turbulent times will continue, but the good news is we can use it. We can use it to awaken every part of ourselves and be of assistance to the awakening of everyone around us. So in the beginning, we meditate and we get up and go about our day. And hopefully practice some mindfulness, start to train the mind. But as we move further along the path, we start to recognize that meditation never stops. Meditation just is. We are meditation. We are this light flowing through us. So whether we're sitting at home or bundled up in our masks and out at the grocery store, or if we have to go into the office, this light, this meditation is flowing through us always. Sometimes we get distracted, we go into denial, we become deluded and think that we're separate from it. But we're not. It's always here. And then we also go into denial and think that we're separate from each other. And we're not. That's just part of the delusion. When we start to recognize that there is no separation between us and others, or Ramana Maharishi said, there are no others. That's when you really start to understand that if there's a system in place that doesn't work for everyone, it doesn't work for anybody. It's like if you lived in Antarctica where it's, 100 degrees below zero or however cold it is. I just know it's really, really cold. And you have this awesome snowsuit and it covers you from head to toe, all except for your hands. It's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. If you walk out there into that level of cold without protection on your hands are gonna fall off. So it's not gonna work for you. So look at the systems in place in your own life. Look at the structures that you're holding in your mind. And are they working for everybody? All the different parts of yourself. And if they're not, do some analysis and some adjusting. Recognizing that, it's probably going to be a little painful to make these adjustments and shifts. But it's worth it. And when we do that for ourselves, it radiates out to everyone else. You might be inspired to do something with other groups. Some people are very active in the community, and that's wonderful. But remember to stabilize within your own being. Because if you don't do that, then we just get swept away, right? We get influenced by what's out there. And then pretty soon we're filled with anger and frustration and angst. And we forgot that, oh wait, there are no others. There is this wonderful peace and calm and joy that's always radiating through us. So if we carry that with us and then go out and get involved, if that's what your thing is, you might have other projects, other ways of supporting and beautifying this world. That's part of the game, right? Is when you get out of the kitchen that's full of the broken glass and you still have some energy, you get to go figure out what it is, what projects are going to be fun and supportive of you. Thank you for listening. This is Turiya. The music was created by Zazen and used with permission from the Frederick P. Lenz Foundation for American Buddhism. To learn more, please visit us at dharmacenter.com.